Hey guys, so in this tutorial, kind of the final tutorial, I'm going to show you guys how to export your videos. It's slightly different than After Effects just because in this video we're not exporting it to the Adobe Media Encoder, we're just exporting it directly out of this program. So one of the things to be thinking about when you export is that in After Effects, it says, all right, I want you to tell me exactly how long your thing's going to be, how long your composition is going to be before you start the project. Whereas in Premiere, as you can see, I want this video to probably end right about here, where the video ends. But I have this music that keeps on going afterward. So on the one hand, I could just go and resize all the music, so the music is all, and the voiceover is all to the same length. That is one possibility. But let's say we don't do that. Let's say we have like this going on. Let's say we have some weird like clips way out here in the extra portions. I often have this where I want to work with my main files and then I'll just push stuff off to the right as it becomes junk or I want to use it later. So let's say I have that happening. I have that pushed off to the side. What I want to do now, so just keep that in mind. I want to cut this composition short. So I'm going to go up to, as you might imagine, File, Export, Media. And I'm going to get what is probably one of the more complicated settings that you're going to see. So what I'm probably going to do, can I match sequence settings? I can't, oh no, what happened? Oh, it was just figuring stuff out. So I'm going to not do that. And it's going to reverse its thing. So one of the things I can do, or I want to make sure my format is H.264. So I do that by clicking Format. But H.264 doesn't need to be Blu-ray. You'll see that there's other things in here, like I could say directly MPEG-4, I could say QuickTime, but H.264 is the best video format to export. The other thing I need to make sure, both export video and export audio are clicked. I need to make sure my output name is correct, so I'm going to click on this blue text, much like I've done with other programs, and instead of Intro to Premiere Sequence, I would do exporting from Premiere. I'll click Save. So now you can see that's what the name of the file is going to be. This is where it's going to export, which is good. Here is where it says what sequence am I exporting it from. So I want it to be sequence visual 1, which as you can see, that is visual 1 is the name of the sequence. So good. The other thing, you can also see that so as I go through these, I don't usually mess with these tabs. They're pretty straightforward and I don't really need to touch them. I usually go use maximum render quality. I sometimes use previews, and I'll show you what that is about in a minute. And then finally, I need to make sure that the length is correct, right? So here in this window, it shows what exactly I am going to be exporting. Here I have a little time indicator too to kind of push it around. So I'm going to go through. And you can see these are all actually these little things. It's the troublesome ones that I've made extra. So if I go back to the main portion of the video, so I'm here, and it seems like right about at 50 seconds or so, that's where I want it to end, is right about here. Let's see there. So what I'm going to do then is I'm actually going to click this end. So this is going to be my out point, and you can see that it changes. And I could, if I wanted to, do that manually. Can I Control Z that? I cannot. So I got to go back. Right about 54. Let's put it to 54. 54, and I'm going to set the out point. So I know the beginning is there, here's the end, and I know that that's exactly where I want it to export. That makes sure I don't get all of the bullshit in between kind of like caught in it. So at that point, once I have all these things kind of like correct, and I know I can see that the video is going to export so there's no black bars in the bottom or the top, now I will click export or Q. Q is going to be if I wanted to add to the Adobe Media Encoder. So if you are comfortable with the Adobe Media Encoder and you like it better, or if you're having a dumb issue with Premiere and you want to export everything together, you can use Q or export. So if I click export, just to show you what happens, then I'm going to cancel it. So it's going to tell me the time remaining, how many previews need to happen. It's going to render the audio and the video. It's going to take a long time. Usually when I export these videos that I'm making for you guys, the render process takes 40 minutes to 50 minutes to give you some context. And most of those are videos that are already rendered because I've recorded them in a screencast. So give yourself like an hour to render the things. The other thing I would do, so you can see here, use previews. So if I cancel this for just a second, one thing I can do is, and I'm going to delete these guys for just a second because I don't want them at all in my composition. One thing I can do is I can go, looking at this sequence, I can go to the top and go sequence render into out. And what that's going to do is it's going to basically tell the computer, like, you know how in After Effects when you hit the space bar and it has to like think for a bit and it pre-renders stuff? This is the same deal, except it takes a lot more time to do it. So I'm just going to let it go, and then I'll show you kind of how it changes right here at the end. Alright, so it's been about 2 minutes, and you can see the timeline turned from a yellow color into a red color. And what that means is basically it has rendered all of the video material. So the computer knows what it is, it's stored on the RAM of the computer, so it's kind of like ready to go. Like the computer knows what all the parts are. So now if I go up and go File, Export, Media, now I'm going to go Use Previews. Right, and what that would do, because I pre-rendered the sequence, now it's going to take probably half the amount of time to render, which is really nice, especially if it takes the render time from like 2 hours down to 1 hour. So I would recommend, before you render, going in with your sequence and going sequence, render effects into out, or render into out, either of these two. And then in the export settings saying use previews. It will make your life much easier, it will make the render much faster, and you'll get the file much quicker. You can also, if you want, in here, just like we do with After Effects, do it where you end up just queuing it and sending it to Adobe Media Encoder. But again, that opens up another program, and that is quite annoying sometimes. So with that, that is the final video. Hopefully this allows you to kind of like understand how to export from Premiere, how to get all those layers of sound together, and how to like end up with a workflow between After Effects and Premiere that is really useful and helpful, at least with using Premiere for these purposes. So other than that, enjoy your time. Let me know if you have any questions. Drop me an email at any time, and I will see you in class.